All right, now we're starting.
Welcome to the Baka-Talk podcast. We have an epic show today, an epic topic about the iconicness of main characters and what makes them iconic. We got a bunch of shows to talk about, but first, before we get into the epic anime that you're caring about, there's a Garfield movie coming out, and it stars Chris Pratt as Garfield.
You have to be joking.
I'm not joking. And Samuel L. Jackson is playing Garfield's father.
Garfield's
John?
father.
Wait,
Yeah, no, it was like
The cat?
The cat father, I guess.
he has.
From the trailer that I watched. That's what it seems
I
to
don't
be.
know either.
I think that's a movie.
I'm
Only.
starting to get convinced the Garfield SCP thing is a real thing.
I'm starting to as well because like it's kind of convenient that he just shows back up.
Every decade
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it like exactly like in 2000, 2001 when the first Garfield movies were made?
I think so, yeah. Because it was Garfield and then A Tale of Two Kitties or something.
Yeah,
like
where
that.
he got mistaken as a royal cat from England.
I've
that
never
was a whole-
watched any.
You
of them.
never watched
No.
any of
The
them?
most I know of Garfield is I used to read it in the paper.
Oh, I grew up watching. Unfortunately, I can say this. Unfortunately, I grew up watching the first Garfield movie.
Well, knowing that, we have lost 99% of our viewer base,
Yeah.
listener base.
Yeah, it's fine. They can suffer with me.
Weez.
Yeah.
Carry this episode.
Okay. Anyways, so
I'm
we
just more
just-
blown away about the Garfield thing. Like, how? Why?
I just love how Chris Pratt is just randomly everybody's like.
I don't mind
I
him
mean,
as an
he's
actor,
a good actor.
but
It's
he's
just-
not.
It's just hilarious.
He's not like
He is this era's Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen's still alive, my dude.
I know, but remember when there was the Seth Rogen thing of they just shoved him into whatever
They
they
still are. It's just now he's locked away in HBO land.
So, anyways, before we get into our topic, anime.
Yes, it's cool. Goodbye.
I've watched a bunch of anime.
Okay.
And the main ones is Spy Family is probably one of the biggest shows coming out currently, besides for
Jujutsu
Jujutsu
Kaisen.
Kaisen, which I'm gonna get caught up on eventually. I
What
promise.
episode are you on?
Like 1. I watched the movie.
That's not catching up.
I know. I'm
That's
going
backwards.
I'm going to get.
You
caught
are
up.
literally going backwards.
First. I have to get caught up on Goblin Slayer. Yeah, I am going backwards, and then yeah, I watched the first episode a while ago, and then I watched Zero.
See,
so I am going
technically,
backwards.
if you want to, you jump right. So watch season 2, the first half of season 2.
So
hidden
then watch the
inventory arc.
movie. Yep, hidden inventory, premature death arc, and then go to the
And-
movie, and then start
And
with
the first
season
season.
1.
Okay.
Are you telling me in like 5 years, Jujutsu Kaisen is just gonna be like that new Fate series that you're gonna? We're gonna be like the people on Reddit, like you have to watch it in chronological order.
No.
No, ah,
It's just an option, I guess. Anyways,
that's still not as bad as Steins Gate.
Spy Family has been cool. The last episodes, they actually have like a full mission that Yor is on, and they're on like this cruise ship. It's really cool. There's actually spy and assassin shenanigans.
So wait, it's
going
not just
down.
like 4 minutes of her like killing people and then getting shot in the butt. and then, like, about the
Yes.
rest of the
Yeah,
episode?
it's actually the latest like arc has been really good because it actually part of my problem with Spy Family recently is that it's just been like little one-off like
It
Anya goes to
feels-
school and has a little problem.
It
or
feels more
whatever.
like an episodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one has tension because there's like Yor doesn't want to be seen as an assassin. Anya is like trying to like knows that, finds out Yor is nearby, is trying to hide Yor from her dad because she thinks if they find out they're gonna break up and her family's gonna be ruined and all this stuff. And just Anya being like stupid is kind of great. And so they're like she's like playing mind games kind of in her like dumb childish way to get Lloyd out of the way, and Lloyd is only tasked to go on this cruise to like make sure Anya's happy, and because the government
Wait, what?
and yeah, she wins. She reads the guy's mind at this drawing thing for a free cruise, and he's like, I taped it to the bottom of the box so this person will win. It's all a setup. And so Anya just reaches in and pulls out the winning ticket. So then Lloyd is like, tells his agency, and he's like, they're not gonna let me go on this, and they're like, oh sure, go ahead. And it's because the like the work hours and stuff are ridiculous, so they're like, we need people to take more vacations because what we're doing is like cruel or whatever, how much we're working people. There's like, weird
That's great.
politics stuff,
Yeah.
human relations stuff. So he's just like surprised. So he ends up going on that. But Yor is also going on that cruise separately because she is tasked to protect this person that's part of this like crime family, that her whole family got wiped out and she's the only one left. And so there's assassins trying to kill her. So Yor has to protect this woman.
So wait, they all go separately, but as a family?
Yeah, so they end up like going together, and then Yor is like, well, I have to
Oh, they
go
all
do
have technically different reasons.
Yeah, they all have different reasons.
The way you kind of worded it is like they all just ended up on the ship. Like
they didn't just like, what are you doing here?
Okay,
but
that
yeah,
makes more sense.
So she goes off, and so they're in like the luxury area, whereas Anya and Lloyd are in like the really like middle class whatever area. So she has to protect this woman. The woman is like interesting, and she's talking about like her story with Yor, and so there's like interesting dynamics there, and then just them like trying to protect her from these assassins and all this stuff going down. It's really interesting. It's getting more into like the political and spy part of it, while still being like a comedy and having like Lloyd has to try to make Anya happy, and he's trying to like figure out what to do, and he just doesn't understand her because she's reading his mind and like reacting in weird ways to everything.
Yeah.
So she seems unhappy because she wants this thing, and then she's like crying about it, and then he's like thinking through what he has to do as like a normal father. It's like, would a normal father buy it for her, or would he not buy it for her? And he's like going through all this stuff, and he's getting like stressed out about it. And then Anya like realizes and feels bad about it, and it's like, no, it's fine. And he's like, what's going on? So
I feel bad for Lloyd.
Yeah.
So I watched the first like 3 or 4 episodes, I think, of that season 2, and like the whole thing of Yor getting hurt, so she doesn't want to sit down, like she's super grumpy, so he's just like, I gotta take her on a date, save my marriage. And like every single thing he does on that date is just like this, where it's like it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Like takes her bowling, it doesn't work. Like, and he just feels super bad.
And then at the end, she's like super happy. And he's like, oh, I guess it worked. And then the next day, it's like she's really mad again.
Yeah.
What did I do?
I just feel bad for Lloyd. Like,
I know
he's trying.
He's like so smart about normal people, but he got like the most insane like family.
And it's weird too. Like they ride that line of him being like a cold-hearted spy and like super smart, but he's also just a really good guy.
Yeah,
like he actually cares about people, and it's just like it makes me feel really bad for him.
So it's a good show. It's definitely gotten better recently. It needed like a full thing together instead of just a little like side missions.
I got really bored too. Like I think the last episode I watched is like Anya's like the kid that Anya, I guess, no, the kid that likes Anya, whatever his name is, the second son. That's the only thing I can remember.
Yeah,
like they were just trying, like it was just a whole episode of them going on a hike. I was like, I didn't really sign up to watch this.
Yeah, some of those episodes are like, it's fine, it's whatever. But once it gets into the actual like spy, like all the things that they're doing at the same time is what makes it interesting. That she's an assassin, he's a spy, and she's a telepath. So having like all of it happen at the same time is what makes the show interesting.
Yeah, it does.
When it's just Anya's a telepath at school, it's not that interesting. When it's just like an assassin killing people or just the spy, it's not like super interesting. Yeah, but once it's like all together, then it's really cool.
It's that classic case of when they explore other things, like, no, get back to the thing.
Yeah.
Get back to the gimmick.
I don't want romance my sci-fi. Go away.
It's also like it's kind of digging a little bit more into the stakes of it, because that's also what's interesting, is that the person that she's in school with, like his father is who Lloyd is trying to like kill or manipulate or something. Like it's kind of like Lloyd is the enemy of everyone there, and that's kind of interesting too, because it's like I'm not exactly sure who Yor works for.
I think is a self
Because
contract.
it does seem kind of like she's a contractor. She has this one person that like has her do stuff.
Well, I think she has like a handler,
Yeah,
like somebody that like gets contracts for her.
yeah. You meet the guy in one of the episodes, recent episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because
It doesn't explain a ton.
we've only
about
ever
it.
heard him on the phone.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of interesting little pieces, and like the person that she's protecting was part of this like family of crime family that was destroyed and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So there's a ton of interesting things that are going on.
That's pretty cool.
There was like there was an episode with Yours brother. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was an earlier episode where he's like tracking down this guy who's making propaganda against the country. So he goes into the streets and he's like,
Like season 1?
no, it's in the second season. But it's
Oh
one of the
no,
earlier
I
episodes.
watched the last episode before that. I remember seeing the
okay.
previous for it, so I haven't seen that yet.
So he's like trying to do propaganda. So he like takes $100 bill, throws it in the dumpster, and then like takes a picture of the kids like going after it. And then is like, look at this.
Oh, I
like
gotcha.
their kids are like
Yeah.
scrounging in the streets for garbage and stuff like that. So like that was interesting too, of like all the political stuff going
Yeah,
on
it
between
is
both
actually sounds like
countries.
it's ramping up.
Because like
Cool.
neither country is really that bad with how people live.
Yeah.
They just use political like stuff all the time.
Right. All right, Ramen Cat. So, what did you think of Jujutsu Kaisen?
It felt like it should have been the season finale or
Kind of,
a
yeah.
movie, because the last 4 episodes are just going along doing their thing. I'm like, oh, you know what? It's cut to cinematic.
Yeah, like it's ramped up beyond a point I thought it would. Like the whole incident title, like it's the whole what is the name of it?
Shiba Yayu.
Shibuya. I don't know. Wouldn't you put a Y in a Japanese name? I'm just like I can't say it. So, anyways, the incident arc. Like I could not tell what incident meant because like up
I
until
was thinking it was gonna be like, oh yeah, because hundreds of people got killed down in the subway. No,
before, like they've been able to like cover up like a school getting like blown up and like stuff like that. Like they've been able to cover up some pretty major things. So I was thinking like, oh, they could just easily cover that up, like a railway incident or something like that. But like,
nope.
yeah, like I guess spoiler alert, although it's gonna be pretty much 2 weeks old by this point. This is released. Like the entire district melting of lava is a pretty big incident.
The district got flooded by lava. The district got hit with a meteor. The district got rail cannoned by
multiple times.
Jogo multiple times. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, he also did proceed to do basically machine gun fire on it.
I will say, so we all talk about like animators like dying and stuff. The sound design in these last couple episodes, the people must have freaking ears bleeding with how much they've had to edit this stuff.
It's amazing.
Like I put on my high quality headphones for this last episode. It was insane the amount of like sound editing and like engineering that went into that. Like it's cool.
Yeah, it wasn't like, you can tell with a lot of animes where they're just like, oh, this sounds good here, but like everything was spot on.
Yeah.
With this, so
yep, every sound, every voice.
Also too, like I always was like, up to this point, it's like, okay, Sukuna's a okay villain.
Yeah,
he's like quickly climbing up the ladder of being a freaking awesome villain.
Yes, like he's like top tier. Almost, I got a feeling by the end he's gonna be pretty like top tier villain.
Yeah,
like, it's insane what he's done so far, and like nobody's hit him yet or touched him yet.
Yeah, because the whole last episode was literally him telling the last of like one of the like big curses, like, oh yeah, if you can land one blow on me, I will work for you forever.
Yep.
Do whatever you want.
That whole ending sequence, like with all the curses like meeting up in the afterlife.
Yeah.
And then Sukuna just like showing up there too.
I was cool though, because that did something that I was hoping they were gonna do with him. Of he's like a super cold, tyrannical like villain, yeah, but it's like he also had kind of an apathetic side.
Yeah,
like,
he respected the strength of his opponent.
Yeah,
which is a pretty classic way to show, like, I guess a little bit of humanity in your villain.
Usually, though, the animes are just like, oh, look at this villain
Yeah.
that usually makes fun of everything. And that's like this. It was like conversation between the two villains, and Sukuna is just like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why you want it, but I respect it.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. I also like the whole thing too, when he just like pulls out the fire like curse, and he's just
Yeah.
like, "Wait a second, I thought you were like this curse." He's like, "I did too. Apparently, I'm not." So it kind of leads me to believe that like either Sukuna's changed from like his original form, like with having Itadori as like his vessel.
Mhm.
So maybe he's unlocking other abilities, or if he's
No,
like,
there's a part in there when Jogo asks him about it, and he just basically tells him, I'm not gonna do like you guys do. I'm not telling anyone my techniques.
oh yeah, he did say that. That makes more sense. Because at first I was like thinking up this like theory, of, like maybe he lost some of his memories or something.
No, I think he's just got access to everything.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Be-
He's the king of curses, so
Yeah.
theoretically he would have access to every curse ability.
Right. And the crazy thing is, though, too, at that same time, it's like he's not a curse.
No,
Like, he was a human.
yeah,
So it's like he's like the ultimate jujitsu sorcerer, basically.
yeah, basically, which is interesting because like the head of the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, like we see in the first part of season 2, has to sacrifice or else he becomes a god essentially.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder.
I think they
Like-
just hit a certain point where it's like
Right,
they
so
just
it was like
become too
Sukuna
strong.
just like an average like curse user at one point. And obviously, this is all just anime knowledge. Neither of us has read the manga,
right.
so like, is Sukuna like just an average curse user that went above and beyond and became a god? And is it possible for other curse users, like say Gojo, to eventually?
I think it's all the basically sorcerers with like cosmic level abilities, because like the one from the hidden
But
Inventory-
isn't that now that's Gojo though, right? He has
Gojo-
cosmic level
yeah,
abilities.
Gojo has void, infinite void, or whatever it is, like as his ability, and then like the guy below the school, his was literally like, I don't know because we never see him. Like his curse technique was just literally infinity,
Yeah.
whatever that means. But
Right. So it's like, if infinite void is that powerful, what is just infinity?
yeah,
And then like, what was Sukuna's to like become the king of curses? Like,
well, maybe his was just curse. I
Right.
don't know.
but then you also have people like Toji. Like he's
Yeah,
just
I
a
don't like
dude.
Toji's whole arc was amazing. That like second
Like I get that he has a heavenly pat, but he's still just a dude.
I think it's more just the fact of he's that character of just absolute will.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of I mean, that might be also Sukuna's case too, why he's so stupidly strong. Too,
Right.
on top of adding curse ability. Well, look at Yuji.
Yeah.
Without like any curse stuff, he was stupidly strong.
Yeah. But like Toji was beyond stupidly strong.
Yeah.
He was Super Saiyan like level of basically movement,
His
and combat.
fight
Like,
with Dagon was so awesome.
that was insane.
The animation was so cool too.
Oh, also you have to Weez.
Yeah.
You have to catch up with Jujutsu Kaisen because there is a JoJo reference in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's only like 2 seconds, but you have to watch the entire series to catch up.
Okay. I'm planning on
Go. Also, and the only other anime I've watched lately is One Piece.
Ew.
it. Nice.
Season 9 specifically.
Wait, what?
I've been watching it with Kai Kai.
Why are you watching season 9?
Because that's what she was watching. I'm like, don't change it for me. I'll just sit here
Oh,
and
okay,
be
gotcha.
confused. So
I
we
feel like
might know it's the Punk Hazard arc
Oh,
where they're
okay.
like on the snow island with the like dude that ate the Cascas fruit. He's got
Yeah.
like a big like slime
Gas fruit?
monster.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
been a
what's
while. I
going
need
on.
to-
I'm usually just eating supper while watching.
I need to
it.
reread it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's also the most annoying villain ever because I don't know in the actual original, but in the dub, his stupid laugh is him just saying "churro" over and over and over.
Okay, that's a thing in One Piece. Every villain has their own like laugh, and it's like in the manga, like it's specifically written out like sha ha 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 or like fu ha ha. It's just
my
like
Lord.
every single villain has their own unique way to laugh, and it's a thing. Not just villain, it's like just powerful characters too.
So you're telling me the creator of One Piece was like, yeah, I have a power system, a world system.
How
But
annoying is their
screw
laugh?
that.
Based
I
on their
want
laughs.
a laugh system
Yes.
where it's graded upon their laughs.
Yeah, this guy literally every time he laughs is just "churro." It's like, no, my ears.
He's doing the chororo laugh. He's that powerful.
Well, so I think probably the ear grading part of that is you're listening to it dubbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd probably be more natural for a Japanese.
Probably because I
Probably.
just wouldn't think about it.
Yeah.
It being also too listening to the dub. 90%, I'm convinced 90% of the voice cast for One Piece also is 90% of the voice cast for My Hero Academia.
Oh, that's the fun
Probably.
part. There's only like 20 people that voice an anime.
Yeah, because Zoro is All Might.
Yeah.
Some other Captain Kid or whatever is the spiky or red-haired, spiky-haired dude that like turns to rock and
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
My
about.
Hero
What's his
Academia.
name? I forget. his
multiple of the female voice actors are the voice actors for that.
name. I feel like there's only like literally 5 female voice actors.
Also, there's just a random character that her voice actress is Lust from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, that's easy because Lust's voice actor is like super, like pop.
I know, I'm just not expecting it to be just a side character.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like Amelie. She's voiced in One Piece now.
Oh yeah, she
She did
voiced
the
in
new
in the-
Red.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One Piece
that was
does
the
have like
only
100
character I
million
knew on that
characters.
list
Yeah.
at the convention outside of a Borderlands character she voiced.
She voiced a Borderlands character.
Yeah, Ellie,
Why does Ellie sound familiar?
because it's Scooter's cousin.
Oh right, yeah, Ellie. Okay, that makes sense.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
That is kind of funny.
But yeah, that's about it. I have been binge reading through Chainsaw Man.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Those animators better hurry up and sacrifice more animators. They got a lot of work to cover.
Sacrifice more animators.
They need to
the
summon.
anime
They
god.
need to summon the animation devil using 1,000 animators to summon it.
Oh dear.
That was like
God.
the old thing with like rock and roll. Like I sold my soul for like rock and
Oh
roll.
no,
or
no,
whatever.
just further.
We need the new version of just I
Just
sold my soul. for
further into
animation.
Chainsaw Man. Just people around. I need this thing done. Let's kill some people. Devil, go do the thing.
You know, if my soul was an actual currency, I might sell it for a couple season 2s of an anime.
If that like world system worked like in our world, there would definitely it would just be a thing. It would just be like, oh yeah, this CEO sacrificed
Well-
this many people for this power, and
That would be the crazy part. Is
Do you
like
mind a spoiler?
kinda
Okay.
it probably happens.
No, not to that
Oh,
extent.
okay.
Like, there's just like one part that it, like kind of explains that a little bit.
I'm trying to remember what part you're.
I'm just gonna say because Weez does it to me all the time. When the president of the United States is like, "Gun Devil, go get this thing. I'll give you 1 year off every citizen's life."
Dang.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing because I'm reading. I'm like, "Oh, that's why the average life rate goes down in America every year."
Oh yeah, because he just literally makes a
He's
pact
just
with the devil.
on the Gun Devil's just on call with the president. Apparently,
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
that doesn't really spoil anything.
Yeah.
So.
Is that in?
That's cool.
That's
though.
in part 1.
No, it's probably gonna be in part 2 if they do the end. Like,
No, I'm talking in the
Oh.
manga.
still in the first arc.
Really?
Oh, that's the other thing I found out about this. 100 chapters, I think it is, to complete the first arc.
Oh right.
How
Oh,
long
I
is
just
it in
remembered.
total. It's not that long, isn't it?
Right now it's in chapter 130.
Oh, really?
140.
It's still
Wow.
going, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like almost.
Yeah, that's not
It's
that
not
long.
weekly. Is it bi-weekly? I think it's
Also, the
bi-week.
artwork is just, I know this is probably old for listeners, but this is my first time reading through. The artwork is amazing because it's one of the few manga that I've picked up. The action scenes, the quality of the artwork actually just ramps up.
My dude, you're only 20 chapters away from the most recent chapter. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This isn't old for anybody. This is like maybe like
I mean,
6
it's a
months
long-
old.
Yeah, 147 is where they're currently at. And I'm, oh, frick, I'm at 122.
Yeah.
No!
That's why when I looked over at your phone when you were reading before we started recording, I was like, "Oh, you zoomed," because
Well, pretty much all
like
the
the last
stuff
time I
that
saw
sorry.
you were still within the animes
yeah,
chapters.
I basically zoomed through the part. I was like, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this. I
Okay.
vaguely remember, like, I read the whole thing,
Yeah.
of them, but it's like I could kind of speed read through because
Yeah.
it's a 1-for-1
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I think the only things I've seen different to the manga to the anime is there's one devil they cut out because it really wasn't necessary that was in the comic.
Yeah.
And the part, I think it's the end of season 1 where it's like Denji and Power and Aki just like chilling out back at the apartment.
Mhm.
Like that's not in the comic,
Oh,
obviously,
okay.
because it's an unnecessary scene.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of had to add like an ending part because like they kind of ended it in a very weird spot.
They did,
because like it
they
just
could have went
keeps
one
going.
episode over and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a good ending point, but they just didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they should have just done the whole arc.
Just do that. Just catch up with the manga. Be like, we're just gonna release this until it's caught up.
Speaking of manga differences, this has to do with our last episode where we talked about Attack on Titan.
Oh,
But I was listening to people talk about it, and there was couple little details that they changed from the manga to the anime.
Yeah.
And one of them was like that scene where I think it was the scene. It's when Eren tells Armin that he's gonna end up wiping out like 80% of the population,
okay.
and Armin like freaks out and yells at him.
Yeah.
In the manga, he like doesn't react at all.
Really?
Yeah. He's just like, oh, okay.
You know,
Guess,
that would kind
like-
of change the whole
like,
perspective. a
Little, I can
bit.
see how little details like that can definitely make the
Yeah.
ending kind of suck. But yeah, that was interesting. I was like, that's a weird. I mean, it's cool they changed it to make it like work better, but
It makes so much more.
it sounds like people liked the anime version of the ending a little bit better because it kind of fleshed out things a little bit more, which
Yeah.
is kind of what I figured was the difference.
I feel like that's all they needed to do too. It's like
Yeah.
they definitely didn't need to change anything major.
Because the same idea is still there, and it works pretty well.
Yeah. Our episode for that flopped though, so
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what we did wrong. I thought I did a good thumbnail and
Yeah,
title. It's just kind of weird how that happens.
yeah, it is weird.
It was like one of those, you know, like obviously in content creator, like you're sure something's gonna do well,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
like
you're
I've
just
done
like,
this
oh,
twice already, and it did great both times, and then you do it this time, it just doesn't work. It's like, what? Why?
oh yeah. By the way, everybody go watch the new Goblin Slayer video now.
Yeah, Goblin Slayer is just a D&D
Stop
game
this.
part 3.
I don't care if you come back to this. Just stop this right now and go watch that.
Yeah, it's only like
Or
15 minutes.
put on your hat, grab your briefcase, stop this, run out the door, run past the Goblin Slayer video, and never look back. Bye.
Why would you do that to our friend Weez? You're gonna make him cry.
Hey, you're in the video.
Yeah.
That's why I
probably
said just keep going.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know. I thought I did fairly competent. And
Oh, yeah, you watched the video?
Yeah.
Nice. You did great.
I was like, here comes the cringe. And I,
Kai did
Oh.
great. Kai was really good as Noble Fence.
I only voiced 2 lines and I can't bring myself to watch it. I can't. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I hate listening to
It-
myself editing a podcast and
You should. Yeah. It was good.
all right.
Kai did great.
I
She
never want to hear the bratty character
she
voice
killed-
out of her ever
she
again.
killed her
though.
role so well. I was impressed because I haven't had her voice in anything before, but I have had like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder how she'll do, and she did great. So go watch it. Check out her performance and Ramen Cat's performance and Boom's performance.
You can skip
and my
my
girlfriend's
parts.
performance.
yeah.
and Pyrolus's performance.
Oh yeah, how did that work out?
It worked out pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sound quality wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it was
still hear the
different.
shrieking of hell.
It was different, but it kind of
Shrieking
worked
of
because
hell.
he's in like a helmet thing. So
He's in a helmet,
like Goblin Slayer is.
right,
So
Oh.
so if it sounds
the
different,
Yeah,
it's like,
reverb
the
wasn't as
tinny-
bad,
Pyrolis
yeah.
actually sounded really good.
yeah.
I'm
it
sure
was
you probably layered it with multiple films.
I edited it. Yeah, I cut out some like.
I mean, it
Noises
stuck
and stuff,
pretty
but-
well to like the previous video.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, you also edited the previous videos and make them sound more like in a helmet too, right?
I don't think I did. I think I just kept it how it was. I don't know. I probably should have, but
Yeah, Foresight's 2020.
yeah, I definitely put a ton of editing in this video, more than
Yeah, because you
I
worked on
haven't
it for
a
like
lot.
2 solid
like
weeks,
a month.
right?
Like from writing it to finishing it took about a month. So
Well, I meant just like editing,
editing it, yeah, it was like 2
like
weeks.
2 solid weeks.
I kept going back and like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I wanted to add this, like the dice rolling thing that I have in it. I added that pretty late and had to go back.
that someone bought the dice rolling app thing.
No, I actually found a video on YouTube that was like free dice roll green screen
Oh,
effect
really?
thing, and it was just 1, 2, 3. It went all the way to 20. I was like, this is so perfect. And then there are so many nice people
That's actually really cool.
everywhere else on the internet you go, and it's just like pay money to get this stupid
Yeah.
stock image. YouTube, there are so many channels that are just like, here's a bunch of green screen garbage that's probably useful. You can have it. I don't care. It's like these people are
It's
awesome.
probably a lot of them are like have just a donation thing. That
Yeah,
if you want to help,
or
out,
just
they
from the
can.
views they get from the YouTube or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they
Yeah.
just do it for fun, but it's awesome.
A lot of people just do it for fun. It's like ridiculous amount of people are just like, oh yeah, I spent 12 hours editing this short animation.
Well,
Yeah,
because you know
like-
someone out there's got this horribly cropped, slightly animated thing is gonna be a meme someday.
Yeah.
Like I get wanting to monetize your work, but some things it's like it's just a dude standing there. Like it's not that. It's just a picture. or
That's
whatever.
one thing. Like I understand having to make money, but like when you're doing clip art, I feel like yes, it's clip art and people can buy it, but it should be a little bit higher standard than
Yeah.
what they are.
For sure. There's so many websites and they charge so much too. It's ridiculous. Anyways, do we move on to our topic and then the nerd dump if we have time afterwards?
Yeah, I'd say we could
So-
probably move on to our next topic.
Our topic, which is our main topic, is about what makes a character iconic.
Right.
You came up with this, Boom. You tell us.
Yeah, so this is a new idea. So I want to do like a main topic for the show. Hopefully this works out. But what I was
A meme topic?
a main topic.
A meme topic. Got it.
Um,
Dun dun dun.
okay.
That's the magic of editing. You can just cut everything I said out completely.
And I'm just talking to myself.
leave those blank spaces or like an audio reel in the background.
Yeah.
Just bleep it out.
I threatened to do that with Pyrolis one time. He was just, I don't know, we were just arguing about something where I'm just like, I own you. I could just bleep you out of this podcast.
Anyways, so you want to start doing topics?
Yep. So
Okay.
what I mean is like I want to do like things that are oriented around like story structure and like what's cool about shows and what we like about like the story and stuff with them.
Well, as the average potato American, I don't know if there's no bag of potato chips there. I got nothing.
Okay.
The thing that makes a main character iconic is having a bag of potato chips by your side while you're watching them be iconic.
Sure.
In the same way that you watch a professional athlete do something incredible with a bag of potato chips.
By yourself.
Oh,
By
I am a
yourself.
pro potato chip athlete.
But so that does bring up like our first question is obviously what makes a main character iconic? What are the aspects that make them iconic? And what I mean by that is like
Are we going by what we think, or are we
Yeah.
going by what like industry standards that generally everyone likes? Because
kind of I feel like we can talk about both. Like we can kind of talk about like what the industry does to make a character seem iconic and
Yeah.
what we
Oh,
kind of feel like.
because I can summarize industry standards really
Well,
short.
okay, give it a second. I want to explain a little bit more. So what I mean by that is like I'm going to use for instance Light Yagami.
Yeah.
Like he is an iconic character because of certain aspects that make him rememberable, and people just talk about him and reference him. Well, for
Yeah.
it's been a decade or more now.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Edward Elric.
Only Weez references him.
Not well.
Light's very, very popular.
Oh.
Or what I'm talking about
Light
is like
Turner from Death Note.
Light Turner.
Yeah,
His last name's Turner.
and yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, also what I mean
and
is like
Netflix.
Oh.
none of us has really watched this show much. I have a little bit, but like Naruto. What is Naruto like? What's his aspects that make him iconic?
An annoying voice and always hungry.
Sure, but that's what I mean. Okay,
Yeah.
so besides for the joking around, like so for
Oh, that wasn't a joke. That's sincerely
Yeah.
like all I know him for.
So I guess we can talk about a little bit like what does the industry think makes a main character iconic, and what seems to work off and on for them.
It's kind of like journalism that makes things iconic. too.
Yeah.
Like they're always the ones that are like, you played the iconic character,
Mario,
District 8
yeah.
hospital helper in The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2.
That seems very oddly specific.
That Charlie, that's the person that
Oh
Charlie was
right,
in,
yeah. I
Hunger
forgot
Games.
that whole video was a
Voice
thing.
Critical, yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps referencing it too all the time.
Yeah.
Anyways, very iconic character.
So, anyways, Romcat, you were saying you could probably name off every aspect of like the
Oh.
corporate.
Usually in the corporate one, it's overly edgy character.
Yep.
It's a horny character.
That's one of them.
Sometimes.
It's a very molesty horny character.
Okay.
It's a hungry character. It's a overly annoying optimistic
I
character.
think you're talking about anime.
Yeah, you're just kind of talking about. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of what I meant.
I think
Oh, there's also bland personality but stupidly overpowered.
okay, so
You're not wrong.
Or there's boobs.
Yeah.
yeah.
You think I got them all there?
Or
maybe,
the
probably
one
not.
show I watched, it was Thighs.
Okay,
That was the thing.
thighs.
It was weird.
At some point in the
What
future.
show were you watching?
It was Atelier Rise, the secret hideout. I don't know, some game adaptation.
Huh.
After, like, pretty soon, the next generation of animators is going to be feet.
It's already.
It's
feet.
already
It's already
been
feet.
feet for a
There's
while.
been so many shows that are just uncomfortably
But
comfortable
usually-
with the feet.
Usually
aspect.
those are side characters. If you're
Oh,
going
okay.
over iconic main characters,
I will
Okay.
say the main character in a lot of the shows I watched, for some reason, have had to lick feet multiple times.
well, yeah, they're the ones. They're the ones you're supposed to relate to as like
Yeah.
that's
Did
you.
Like
Quentin
Subaru.
Tarantino direct these
No,
anime?
like Subaru from ReZero. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, he had to.
Huh.
yeah. Although she kicked him for it.
Well, yeah, because she didn't like her feet being licked.
Yeah,
Would you want your feet licked?
I don't think so.
All right then.
Because he said, I don't think so. And the like hesitation, there, I'm going to just move away. Anyways, to me, those are like your bland, vanilla, generic things. But then you can take those and go a little deeper. Like, I'm just going to say, just because it's been the most recent thing, like with Denji and Chainsaw Man.
Yep.
He could be the atypical, just kind of dirtbag character, but they do it in a way that actually makes him likable yet hateable at the same time, like an
Yeah.
actual person. Like, he has his redeeming moments, like, oh yeah, you don't know better. And then the other one's like, what the heck is wrong with you, man?
Well, yeah, he starts off as that. His main aspects are he's horny and he's hungry.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then it's like, it actually, like, especially at this point, is like fleshed out a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
But
now it's just, he's like, I just want people to love me.
in a way, that's kind of like aspects that make him. That's like
He's
the
always
aspects that you throw
changing.
into that like make him rememberable.
Yeah.
And like that's why I feel like when Chainsaw Man does get a second season and like finishes more of the manga, he is gonna be one of those main characters that are remembered for different things.
Yeah. Where you take like a character like Naruto, and as far as I can tell from every clip I've ever seen of the show, he is just Naruto all the way.
No, he grows a lot.
Eh.
Okay, what have you actually seen of Naruto before you start saying?
Random clips of the show.
Yeah,
just,
then
like,
you have no
I don't.
reference. He is like one of those characters that a lot of his aspects are like he perseveres through anything. Like his whole backstory was being forgotten and everybody ignoring him, and yet he persevered to be somebody to be known.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, let's take a character like Goku. He starts out Goku, and he's still Goku.
and at some aspects,
Yeah, a lot of shonen.
Vegeta is more
Yeah.
interesting because he's like, oh yeah, he's the main villain. Now he's not, and he's so confused along the way.
One of the biggest things that makes a main character iconic is how good the series is.
Yeah.
Not necessarily how good the main character is. Because a lot of people can be like, I love Dragon Ball. Goku is not the best character.
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
not
it's
that
kind of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, Yuji's a cool character. I like him. He's likable.
good. Yeah.
But he does not make the show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely in fact, actually, so much so that the creators is like, main character, scooch over there. Let's look at everyone else.
I like Demon Slayer. I like Tanjiro. He's not like an incredible character. He's
Right.
like a good character.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm saying is like there's a lot of characters that are air quotes good.
Yeah.
They're good enough to be a main story.
I think
Yeah.
those characters are just kind of the way they are, is because they're going more the route of they are the vehicle for the audience.
Yes, exactly.
Versus you are witnessing like a character's journey.
Yeah,
type thing.
I'm talking. Okay, for instance, Edward Elric
Mm-hmm.
from Full Alchemist. He is a character that's pretty darn iconic for several things. Like he started off as more of like this bratty know-it-all character that was overly like prideful about like things he could do just because he was slightly different than others. And like throughout the series he learned humility, he learned how to rely on his friends.
Yeah.
Like he gained aspects that make him memorable, and like he even gained wisdom that was like beyond his years.
Yeah.
So like a lot of things that people quote from him are like good words of wisdom. He was learning through situations.
He also learned like kind of a big growing moment thing too. It was like, oh yeah, he's not the only person that's ever lost anything or suffered a traumatic thing.
Yeah, he was like that edgy, like woe is me, like the world's against me type of person. And like near the end of the series, like one reason I always remember him is like the perseverance to help people even though he is so focused on his own main task.
Yeah.
He's an interesting he's like a good character to point out as a as like an iconic character too, because his story isn't completely dependent on him in the way other stories are.
Right.
So it's not like it is forced to focus on him because so much else is going on in the world that's really interesting even without him. So having him there and also being a really good character is like shows how good of a character he is. Like Light Yagami you can't have the story at all without Light Yagami. And everything is focused on him. Like most every scene has him in it. He's involved in everything that goes on. Whereas like Edward isn't involved in everything that goes on. He's just involved in his part, and you see stuff going on around him too.
Yep.
So it's like it's interesting because he's a really good character by himself, along with just being a good main character that the story goes through.
Yeah, and like Light
like Yagami.
Yeah, that guy. I don't know, Akira. He is such an iconic character because of almost totally different aspects compared to like say someone like Edward or like even Goku. Like he's cold, he's manipulative. He has such a big ego complex.
Yeah.
That people almost like him for that.
Yeah.
There's so many people that like the way his character going, even like to this day, sometimes still agree with him.
So much so that even SpongeBob wears the same outfit.
Exactly. That.
He's very static too. Like Light doesn't change that much. He gets more depraved.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's not like there's not big character arcs.
Right from the start, he's kind of like shown as this very egotistical.
Yeah.
Like, the world is dirty and I live amongst filth type of person.
Yeah, and he only gets like slightly more depraved through what he chooses to do.
Exactly. So it's like they give him these designated aspects that don't change at all, but they're iconic enough that their anime does have this genre of the villain main character. Like we're following this main character. He is the bad guy. We know it, but we're still watching his story. But there's not too many that make it like Death Note.
Yeah.
Like most of the time they just turn out to be more like this edgy jerk character.
Yeah, they're kind of like in between, or you kind of see what happens. Like Breaking Bad is about him becoming a terrible person
Yeah.
throughout his like
He's
all the
a high
decisions
school
he has to
teacher
make.
that gets set with circumstances beyond his
Mhm.
means, and he goes down this
Yeah.
path to
And you see him like slowly turn into this like worse person, become more unhinged and stuff,
yeah.
and be forced into circumstances to like kill innocent people and stuff. Whereas Light, like right at the beginning, is just like, I'm going to kill as many people, bad people as I can.
because he thinks he is the righteous one in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's like an aspect that is like not really often replicated in characters, and it makes
Yeah.
it really memorable.
It's gutsy
However-
because you usually don't want a character that does such horrible things right away, because then you think the audience will not care about them or
Yeah.
hate them. But he's very charming too. He's like the devil. He's like charming and
He's-
interesting, but then it's like, wait, what he's doing is terrible.
He's like the perfect definition of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
serial killers are usually like really charming and stuff.
Hmm.
I haven't watched it, but from like hearing you guys and stuff, like it sounds like it's kind of like if you ever watch like any of those shows that are like murder mysteries that you see who did it, you see how the crime went down. It's more seeing how the events unfold around it and
Yeah.
how everything kind of conspires and
Yeah.
reacts to the main character's actions.
You are really right about that. It's like that
It's
classic.
unique in
yeah,
itself.
It's like those classic old cop shows where you know who like did the murder,
yeah,
and like you see them interacting with everybody, and you're just like, that's the guy. Like that's
Yeah.
how it is.
that's the guy. Seen him do it.
Second of all, you've never watched Death Note
I've seen the first couple episodes. I read the first
volume?
couple volumes of it.
You need to finish that, man.
You should. It's good.
Nyeh.
What do you mean?
Nyeh.
All right.
However, as much as I like character development and stuff, there is also those characters that are just set in their style that just are really cool. And I mean, they still have a little bit of growth and stuff, like Alucard.
Yeah.
He's just cool. Like he's done so well and so cool already that he doesn't need to change.
Yeah, that's like his aspects of his character are more like that.
How does the world
skill.
adjust to
Yeah,
him?
like the skill, the wisdom. Well, not the wisdom, but like the knowledge, the skill, like the overwhelming power he has. That's his character.
Right. But
Mhm.
to me, I like it because, I mean, as much as I like, well, I say I like, but like just remember of like Dragon Ball, I never really like had those moments that made me really root for the main character.
Yeah.
I like the villains more than I like the main character.
Sure.
But this like always was like the way they do Alucard's personality, his demeanor, his art style, just everything just makes you root for him. Even though you know it's like, yeah, he was probably a villain at one point. He's like super horrible, but go Alucard.
Yeah, like Alucard is. He's that character that you want to root for and you really like, but at the same time you're like, am I like liking the bad guy?
Yeah.
Like, even though like you've watched Ultimate, right? The Nazis.
I've watched the first one, I think it was.
Okay, so you won't necessarily get this as much.
But I do know about
You know
and
of
stuff,
it. I think
yeah.
you've watched the bridge, haven't you?
Yeah, I've watched all the
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. It's just kind of slightly different. But like
less
you're
edits.
watching Alucard be this horrible person, but yeah, at the same time he's fighting Nazis.
Yeah.
You're just like,
so he's
I'm
like,
watching a horrible person, but then like
killing
Nazis.
horrible
It's
people.
like-
Yeah.
so you're
Yeah.
just like kind of conflicted at the same time. Like he's the bad guy, but he's also like killing the bad guy.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like not to take to beeline us into Star Wars, but to beeline us into Star Wars like Darth Vader.
I was actually gonna mention that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
He's the bad guy. He's like super, super horrible, especially like reading comic books and all that stuff. But at the same time, all the villains around him are so much
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
That it's like suddenly he's like, okay, I can look past the atrocities he's committed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also like he's got those character aspects that make him so cool that
Mhm.
you don't care that he was Anakin that murdered the entire temple of younglings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you know, well, that's like what kind of says it. You know, he's the bad guy, but like you have the things to reinforce it. You're never going to be like, oh, he's actually just an anti-hero.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like that's what I hate in Marvel that they did with Loki. I know, like he's got a show, so I guess he can be considered a main character.
Yeah.
But in the comic books, like I don't know now because I haven't read like Marvel comics lately. But he was a big time villain.
Yeah.
And then they're like, now let's make him an anti-hero.
Yeah,
I
and
hear his arc gets finished really well season 2, and you can probably
yeah,
comment on that, but
the show kind of takes, because it takes him when he's like for sure a villain, and then it gives him he basically watches a movie of his life so that he can develop to the point where he needs to be so he can be a hero. It's a little bit of like a cop out thing for it, but yeah, I definitely wanted parts of the show where he was more of a villain instead of like a hero, because most of the time he's like, I'm trying to save everybody.
Yeah,
And
when
it's
the
like,
Loki that I remember from the comics I read is like, I'm going to blow up your world.
Yeah, he's more of a character that's like, I want to save everyone so I can take over, so I can rule everyone. And he kind of does that. I can talk about that in the next segment, but
nerdum.
like his character could definitely be more like evil, kind of, whereas he's pretty like a good guy in the show, which is
I also
fine,
not to go too deep into like the Loki character, but I also feel like that's a lot of influence on the person that plays Loki as well.
Yeah.
Because he obviously got cast as Loki, and he makes a good villain, but like he isn't that type of person that necessarily want to like stay the villain. So I feel like there's a lot of actor.
I think they also realized he's such a loved character that they're like, oh, we can make him better.
Yeah.
Let's merchandise him.
He's always had kind of a thing that he's developed between being like really bad and then kind of double crossing people and just kind of, I don't know. He's like selfish is his thing.
Going back to anime, I will say, even though I make the comment of like the overly optimistic character, I like an optimistic main character if they have a reason to be, like other than just that's just the way they are.
Yeah. Well, it's like Luffy. I hear Luffy's an overly optimistic character, like to almost a fault.
Yeah. And I think his character works so well within One Piece because he, like the whole world and everything,
everyone
he
is
fits
psychotic
so well in it. And like the whole world's philosophy is kind of like against him and how he's like pushing back against it. Like the world government is all about like strict order, and the pirates are all about like unconditional freedom, rob, pillage, whatever you want. And Luffy's kind of like in the middle of like, I want freedom to go sail and do whatever I want, call myself a pirate, but I'm also going to stop this person from abusing people, and I'm going to like, he's focused on being like a good person while also calling himself a pirate and like loving freedom, and just he wants to be king of the pirates, but he doesn't like steal from people. He's not like a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not like a classic pirate that goes rape, pillage, and murders.
But the world government still treats him like a pirate because he calls himself a pirate. So it's like the world government, like hypocrisy, and the pirates are like savage, horrible people. So he's an interesting, like somewhat middle ground that kind of everyone hates because of it.
That makes sense. But no, like an overly optimistic character it's almost needed in certain stories. Like it's
certain
needed.
ones, but what I guess I meant is like, what is the reason for the character to be like, if they're just that way out of the gate and like the show never really gives you a reason other than they just have some bland generic reason for it. It's kind of lazy. Like, but if you have a character like that's had like a horrible background, or like something horrible happen, but they like are persistent to not let that be the thing that drags them down. It's like I like those kind of
like Vash. Vash is a good main character.
Exactly.
Like
Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen is another good one.
Yep. I mean, I haven't finished it, but Spike, I mean, he's kind of chill. He's slightly optimistic, but like he's still got a horrible past and stuff behind.
From Cowboy Bebop?
I mean, in a way, like he's not like super down, I guess. In my opinion.
You should finish this.
I know. Okay. I know he's got like a horrible ending and everything like that, but like,
let's say he's optimistic for one thing.
Right.
We'll leave it at that.
It doesn't have to be, I need to cheer everyone. It just can even just be like that character that's like, I want to die, and still just pursues it. I'm wording it badly. I don't know. I'm
No,
tired.
you're on the right path. You're fine. Yeah, well, I get what you're meaning. I just think maybe like for what you were originally saying, for like super happy, Spike might not be the best
Yeah.
pick, but like
I think
Vash-
he keeps the show on a lighter note.
if we
than
talk
it could
about
be.
90s
Yeah.
anime, Vash is a much
yeah,
better
Vash is a
representation.
good
Like
one of it.
people die around him, his own brother's trying to kill him, like literally everybody he loved, he's watched died. Like, and he's still like the love and peace hippie man in the
Yeah.
desert.
I just
like,
want to eat and just make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm so mad I never watched Badlands Rumble until
Mm.
recently. I wish I would watch that sooner because that kind of adds like a good
Dynamic
another
to him.
aspect of
Yeah.
this character.
Yeah.
But yeah, like overly optimistic is a really good one.
I guess when I say I don't necessarily mean the characters also too. It's they keep the tone from beelining into just completely just obliqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I feel like every anime cast kind of has that character.
Yeah.
It is interesting though when they pick the main character
To be that.
that, because like when you have those story points that hit on dark points and sadness, like one that's a good one is and this is kind of a weird story aspect, but Gurren Lagann,
Mm-hmm.
their whole aspect where they switch main characters
Yeah.
from a main character that's overly excited and happy and ready to like face the world to another character that's more scared, timid, and stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
those aspects of characters are cool to see in that particular circumstance because you get to see how the world affects different characters and how the situation is actually going on around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I will say one character, I don't care the reason, that I absolutely do not like is the whiny character.
Yeah.
The woe is me character.
Thankfully, we don't get that too often in anime, except for like anime like Evangelion.
Yeah.
Well,
like-
Evangelion's kind of extreme, but let's say like Tokyo Ghoul. I love Tokyo
Okay,
Ghoul.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the cast around the character is way more interesting than the main character because it's like,
Yeah.
dude, yes, it sucks. You got thrown into this world of monsters, but you gotta do something else. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
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 That's one of the main things just generally about like main characters is that they have to be like proactive, and it's a general storytelling like rules are like really vague in storytelling, but like you want the main character to be proactive and be making decisions. Even if he's like thrown into a circumstance, he can't just kind of go along
Well,
with everyone, because
and-
then it's like this character's useless. The
and
story's exactly
That's
the
what
same
made
without
the
him.
other characters more interesting, like Tokyo Ghoul, because they're the ones that did all the legwork for
Yeah.
everything.
It's very similar for Evangelion. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
all the side
Shinji-
characters are.
doesn't really make decisions until
Yeah.
it's literally the end of the world is forced
Mhm.
upon him.
Yeah. It's all the other characters become more interesting because they're doing all the legwork.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
a way, the aspect of those main characters that make them memorable is the fact that they didn't do much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it forces, obviously, Tokyo Ghoul, we're talking like first season, obviously. not
Yeah.
really season
Yeah,
2.
season 2 changes a lot. So,
Yeah. So,
I mean, in that regard, even if you consider fake season 2,
yeah.
I
was talking
liked
more
that,
about,
but yeah,
I know season 2, that's the one I got tricked into watching because everybody was just like, oh, yeah, watch season 1, season 2. I'm like, all right.
There's season 2, and then there's Tokyo Ghoul RE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even referring to Re because I know what kind of goes on in Re.
Yeah, there's no longer any of that whiny. There's
Yeah.
other characters that are whiny, but they're side characters, so it's like their arc is shortened to the point
Yeah.
of it happening, and you have the main character to kind of support those characters.
Well, it's like the main character in Black Lagoon.
Mhm.
He is the type of I want to
Isn't
say
he just a businessman?
he's literally just a businessman that his corporation throws him onto the ship to like deliver a DVD. The ship gets hijacked by pirates, which is the Black Lagoon Transportation Company, and he gets kidnapped. And then once the pirates are like, well, we already got the information we needed from you, so technically you can go free. He calls his company and is like, oh yeah, we already held a funeral for you, and like you're off the payroll, so you can just kind of stay dead. And he's like, oh well, frick you, I'm just gonna become a pirate then. Like he kind of the first episode he starts off whiny.
Yeah.
and kind of that pushover character. And then like the rest of the series is kind of him diving into the dark side and like becoming more of a
Pirate.
pirate type character. Like,
Was he like, I'm gonna be king of the pirates?
no, he's just more like, I hate society at this point. Like, screw this. I want to make money. But like at the same time, he's also like struggling with like being a normal person into the pirate world. Like, there's this one aspect of they dive down to a submarine that was a Nazi submarine, and it's holding valuable art that was painted by Hitler. And he's like struggling with this fact of like, we're desecrating this tomb, and yeah, they're Nazis and like they're not the best people. It's still like their final resting place, and we're like desecrating their corpses and stuff. Like, is this right? Type of thing. And then like his Revi, which is the female protagonist technically, she's just like, they're Nazis and we're making money. I don't give a crap. So it, like, yeah, characters like that are cool and interesting to follow.
Yeah.
We'll say one other character type, and it's mainly in 90s shows, and they do change a little bit, but like characters like Inuyasha and the main character from Yu Yu Hakusho just persistently just being a jerk for no reason.
Oh yeah.
Like, I kind of get it with like Inuyasha because he's like, oh, I'm a demon, I hate humans, and he's like slowly falling in love with this human.
Yeah.
Killed or like tried to kill him in a past life. But like, that's one thing that's like, I'm glad I don't, it might just be the kind of shows that I watch, like I don't see that a lot anymore. The overly cocky, just persistently always gonna be just a douche all the way through the whole series.
Yeah, thankfully you don't see that very much anymore. Like, I'm trying to scrub through.
And like I said, I might have missed one like that. I don't know, but generally
sure.
characters change a lot more now.
I think thankfully that type of character aspect has kind of gone away.
Okay.
Like, kind of gone with the times, because nowadays people want more of like an optimistic or like a tragic hero
Yeah.
instead of the arrogant, like overpowered hero.
Yeah.
Like, people much more align with the hero's journey instead of more like the power fantasy type characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like when we talk about like
I
90s,
say that, or we're saying that, and you got Jujutsu Kaisen, they literally just dropped a freaking meteor on the city.
well, if you think about it, like if we talk about character aspects from there, and yeah, Itadori is the main character, but then like Gojo, he's an arrogant like SOB. Like,
yeah, he is.
But in a way, he's kind of likable.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if the show was just about him, I don't know if I'd like it as much, honestly.
No, because it would be too much.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing with like the early 90s shows. I like shows like Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha, but the main characters, like if they're gone and it's more like the side characters or something, you basically watch them for the new villain every episode.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to have a character that is stone cold and like set as like this power fantasy type character.
Yeah.
This arrogant jerk. Like, there's not really room for character development. So
yeah, aside from like little snidges here and there, like towards the end or something.
Sure, yeah. Or like near the final like season 1 finale type of thing. Like, yeah. Well, and there's even characters like Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins. He's kind of that type of character as well. Like, there's like hints of him having like tragedy and backstory and stuff like that, but most of the time he's kind of just like that SOB character that's like overpowered and like he the fun part is more like the people interacting around him than actually just watching, say, Meliodas be himself. Because it'd pretty much just be him pissing off people constantly. But yeah.
And then you get characters like in shows. Sorry, not to go on. Like, that just made me think of the show of the not anime, but Vox Machina. You hate everyone when you first meet them because they are such horrible people, and then you grow to love them.
As like, even first watching that, that show. I was like, oh, I can at least like the druid, right? Nope, the druid's even a horrible
Yeah,
person.
she's the whiny, like,
Yeah.
can't do anything
Yeah.
person. The brother and sister are
They're
just
horrible people.
cringy people. The bard is even worse.
The only one I kind of like is Grog.
Yeah, but the problem is he normally just doesn't think about anything.
Yeah.
He just does what he's told.
The bard is insufferable. I'm just like, oh my god.
I don't know. He gets to a level, like, he gets to a point where he gets super cringy, but then it's like at a certain point, it's like he kind of like tones back in a way. It's like, I hate you. But you
Yeah.
better not die, you son of a.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's like there's lots of shows that have characters like that. There's a anime called Academia Drive. It's literally about a bunch of scumbag criminals, but you come to love them. And like the show's kind of based off the Seven Ronin.
Okay.
So they all kind of die at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like each death just kind of hits you harder and harder because like
Well, I mean, that's kind of Edge Runners.
yeah, no, Edge Runners is like the Seven Ronin. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's another character I kind of like too, is David in Edge Runners, and I haven't seen it in too many shows, is he's got a tragic background, but it really isn't in the grand scope of, especially like with some like the themes of cyberpunk, it's not such a tragic background that should have driven him to the basically insane level of an ending that he had. It's like, yes, your mother died because of criminals. You're not in a financially good spot. That doesn't mean, by the spoilers, ending that you basically rip all your limbs off, throw yourself in a tank, and go toe to toe with the freaking god of the city.
Just to what? Go attack some corporate building?
Yeah. I mean, I understood it by that point because, like, yeah, they kidnapped your girlfriend.
Yeah, but
it shouldn't have ever got
demolished.
Yeah, it shouldn't have ever got to that level.
Yeah.
When your girlfriend's like, "Hey, maybe we should stop robbing people and go, like, I don't know, live in a city that's not half as insane as this place." And
She
like,
just wanted to go to the moon.
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting point of like characters of having like a
they get caught
like
up in
they have
the world.
reasons for what they do, but they're not victims. It's not like they're forced to do it. Like Batman, he just chooses to be a vigilante psycho.
Yeah, like
it's
having
not
your
like
parents die sucks.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go like dropping
It's not like
thugs off a
yeah
building.
It's like one criminal killed my parents. I am now going to just beat up every criminal I see.
And that's kind of the way the Edge Runners was he's like, I don't want to be poor anymore.
Yeah.
But then it goes beyond that. He's like committing acts of terrorism.
Yeah, that's how like Breaking Bad story is. It's like I want money for my family that after I die because he has cancer, then
And
they'll
it
be
just
set.
gets worse
And then it
worse.
just gets to the point where it's like, now I'm in too deep. There are people after me and my family. I have to kill these people to survive.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that. But partially, it's not like, oh, it just kind of whoops, this happened, I got in too deep. It's like you purposefully made these choices.
I like that's kind of what I was getting to, was like, I like those kind of characters that's like they get in over their heads like big time with it. It's not like, for as much as I love the show, it's not like Itadori, who's like kind of just rolling with it as it goes along.
Like,
and things are getting worse and worse and worse.
I want to think of him as an iconic character because when I hear about the show, I never hear anybody talk about
it's
it.
Gojo.
It's
or the
Gojo. It's like
villains.
everybody else. Yeah.
But no, I'm just like, that's a case of a character getting wrapped up in situations that were preventable in a way. I mean, he could have walked away from it if he didn't eat the finger.
Why did he eat the
Because he was fighting that frog.
Oh, right. No, he was about to
curse.
die.
I feel like they're like, and realistically, Gojo was probably somewhere in the background, wouldn't have let it happen.
Gojo was a solid 10 seconds away.
Something...
Because here's the thing. Itadori eats the fingers.
Oh yeah, fights the thing.
Kills the thing.
Yeah.
And then while he's still Sukuna, Gojo shows up and just like, hey, can I talk to the kid for a second?
Yeah.
And apparently Sakuna lets him. Oh no.
He turns
Itadori's back.
Yeah.
Then Gojo's like, hey, can I talk to Sakuna for a second?
Yeah.
Like,
but
sure.
like, I guess in a way that kind of is circumstances, but it's not like hey, you can walk away from this anytime, and they just keep going further and further and further.
I think the difference, so and we're to bounce way back to like one of the first ones we mentioned, Light Yagami.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Besides for him being kind of that arrogant a-hole character,
There was no reason
there
for
was
him to
no reason for him
Yeah.
to continue.
like a normal person, like, oh look, a book, and then when the freaking demon walks out of the shop, I was like, oh frick, the book.
I think that's probably the best thing about Light is that his family is fine.
Yeah.
Like he lives in a normal, healthy
he
family.
is a above grade student.
His dad is a cop. He's a good student. He's
Yeah.
popular with girls. Like
his dad wasn't even one of those cops who are like constantly in danger.
Yeah.
They had a boring life.
He's
basically.
like
It sounds
yeah.
like what it is the case of he had everything and didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, and it was kind of like that I feel like if he was dirt poor and homeless and all this stuff, it wouldn't have hit as hard as just like Light is just like evil, and it just kind of shows like the potential that everyone has to just do
Yeah.
horrible things.
Mhm.
And it also gives the perspective of if you were given the death note, what would you do with it? And if he was like a homeless person that's like, down on his luck and everything, and his whole family was murdered or whatever,
Yeah.
like then it's like, oh well, in that circumstance, I don't know what it would be like. But he just has like a normal family, which a lot of people can relate to, even if it's not as good as his family. Like just having a decent way to grow up, he still is just like, he sees all the horrible things in the world, all the criminals and wars and everything, and just gets really like bad look on life.
Mhm.
And then just figures, well, this world would be better without those people, and then just becomes a mass serial killer, which
Thanos with a notebook.
which turns into like, he kind of gets more extreme a little bit too, as he's like, I'm willing to kill anyone.
Yeah,
that's
there's even a point-
threatening me. Like,
Yeah, there's even a point where he goes beyond the point where he could just stop.
yeah,
Like there's a point where like the world knows about Akira, and like people are like worshiping him and stuff. But there's even at that point, like right before everything goes really bad, like when he's just killing people in prison,
hmm
he could have stopped.
yeah,
He could have been like, okay, this is too much or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, never in any way the story could have been warped to stop, but like theoretically,
yeah.
he could have stopped, threw the notebook away, and been fine.
And like he still like had his code of not killing people that would like speak out against him or whatever. But he did give the notebook to a guy who did do that, who
Yeah.
killed people like anyone who was against Kira. So like he still allowed like more extreme things to happen, and just
Well,
kinda,
and also like
accepted.
the story is about him like lowering his standards for
Yeah.
who was the rotten people in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, he was basically going to kill anybody
Yeah.
that stood against him, because
Mhm.
like he thought of himself as the only
Yeah.
righteous person in the world.
So if you're trying to take away my power, then you just die.
Yeah.
'cause-
Like
that
the
you're
entire task force
threatening
was evil.
peace.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's any character that enters godlike abilities.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole story trope of evil, or power is evil and power
Yeah.
corrupts.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
The other character type that's a main character that's not used too often, and when it is and when it's used well, it's really cool, is like the silent protagonist, like
Yeah.
Mandalorian or Goblin Slayer type of person. They
I
just
love
kind of do
those
their job.
If they don't break that code that they
Yeah.
put with the character. Like I liked the first season of Mandalorian for it, and then they kind of ruined it. It felt like
He's still kind of the same. Like he's not super open, but he like part of it is development, I think, where they want him to be less like closed off, stuck in his own
Yeah,
little bubble.
that's understandable.
But they do sometimes are just like, well, this character needs to be more active. They're going to do all this stuff when it feels out of their character.
yeah,
But when they do it well, it's a really good
kind of
character
like they
type.
did with the show Samurai Jack. All through it, it's like he's a good person and
Mhm.
he helps people and stuff all the time, but he doesn't talk much. He's closed off,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like he lost everything.
Mhm.
And he's a tragic character, but he tries to make things better for other people. But by like the last season that they did, for as cool as it was, they kind of threw that all out the window,
Mhm.
which kind of sucked.
I think about
Because
like
he's a cool character.
like John Wick is a very iconic character, but he like barely says anything at all. But
Yeah.
like his actions show what kind of person he is, and he's
Yeah,
not
well,
necessarily a
kind
good
of,
person. but he's an interesting person.
Don't know if either of you have ever read them, but like the Hellboy comics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like big, gruff, kind of quiet character. Like he doesn't talk much. He's not big on conversation, but it's like he gets the job done, but he's also like super lovable at the
Yeah.
same time.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, let's talk about the Mandalorian that was before the Mandalorian, Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Like he become a cult icon just
Yeah.
because he was a guy in armor
Yeah.
and did two things in a movie.
Yeah.
I think he had maybe 10 words total
Yeah.
between two movies, and like they started writing books about him. Obviously, nowadays with Disney, Star Wars, they have like a series about him and stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
But he was supposed to be that character that was the bad guy that didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the main thing about characters like that is most characters, you want some interesting backstory or something like
Yeah.
to them. And with characters like that, there's usually a ton of mystery around why they're the way that they are.
Like
Because
Goblin Slayer.
they don't act normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Goblin Slayer is just, he barely says anything. They're always like, Goblin Slayer is such a weirdo. And he's like, I see.
See,
and just
now, like,
moves on.
Those characters, to me, the best way to do with them is you bait the audience along and never tell. Because the
Yeah.
moment you tell, you lose. It's kind of like this. You take the helmet off the Mandalorian, and suddenly he's a boring character.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why none of us thought of this. Well, maybe you guys did, but I just thought of it. Freaking Spartan 117 John.
Yeah.
The Halo series. Like,
if he took his helmet off, he's now a boring character. because
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know everything about
and you
him.
know what they did in the TV series?
Took his helmet
They
off.
took his helmet off. They made him a human being that had feelings and a face and voice lines.
It's
Yeah.
fine if you make him a character with feeling, but it's like you still need that air of mystery
But
about him.
here's
Yeah.
the thing: even in the books, where they gave him thoughts and they gave him personality and stuff like that, they still never even like. Obviously,
They never
he doesn't want-
hinted at what.
They never
Yeah.
hinted that the world around him thought of him as that person.
Right.
The thing about John is he is that super soldier that takes on this unimaginable task, and he does it without the world really knowing who he really is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the tragedy of the Spartans.
You know,
So
Yeah,
it's
there's
that
definitely.
eternally mysterious, silent character.
Yeah.
That has a ton
Yeah.
of detail, but yet so much more that could be.
I think
Yeah.
one of the best ways to do it is to show a little bit of what made them that way, but don't over explain everything.
Yeah, kind of like in
'Cause
Mando, how it's like you see
the
the separate, you
flashbacks.
see the separatists like
Yeah.
destroying his home. You see the Mandalorians, and that's it.
You
Yeah.
don't have, there's not like multiple episodes of him growing up and becoming the Mandalorian he is now. Like,
Another
that would suck.
another way you could do it and kind of reveal some of the past and not do too much, and some shows used to do this, is have a villain that is like a character from the past or
Yeah.
something show up.
well, they kind of do that. And Vash isn't this like faceless character, but they do that with Vash.
Yeah.
he's
Like
got super
Vash-
mysterious past.
Mm.
Yeah, and Vash has that aspect of super mysterious. Like they just see the happy. Well, in a way, he is a mask character. He's
yeah.
overly happy, so he hides behind that mask. And then you have Knives, which is trying to kill him, and he like that's his past coming to haunt him.
Yeah, Vash is very similar. He's got that same like mystery aspect. The only difference is that he's very vocal and open and
But
shows,
that's his.
but
helmet.
that's also like his mask.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just like physically what he does is more expressive,
it's
but
not-
he's still the same kind of character.
It's not Bruce Wayne donning a literal mask. I'm like, dude, we know everything that happened. Just stop.
Yeah. Just like go to therapy.
Superman can deal with the villains. Just stop.
So there was I listened to the Batman audio drama, and there's
Okay.
this really cool moment where he admits that he just likes being Batman. He's like, I could stop. I'm not really making that much of a difference, but like swinging on my like bat rope thing across the city is just so
But
much
you know
fun.
what? He lives in a world where if he did that just as a rich playboy millionaire, no one would bat an
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah. Well, in a way, that's kind of how he gets away with being Batman.
Yeah.
Like he is that person that can go buy a bank or a hotel. Like we were watching the Christian Bale Batman movies, and like
Yeah.
this
Oh,
story.
I own the restaurant.
Yeah,
by
like
the way.
Yeah.
oh my hot supermodel friends are bathing in the foyer. Oh, I guess I'll just buy the hotel. I can't tell me what to do. Like,
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah,
not the
I
true
think-
Batman form, but it's like
I
very
think
Yeah.
close.
that is my favorite character type though, is the silent, helmet or no helmet, you don't know a lot about their past.
Yeah.
I've always gone towards those characters more, and in a way, even like characters like Alucard's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alucard,
Well,
obviously,
you know the Dracula trope. That's all you get.
you know the Dracula trope. You know he's a super powerful person, but he doesn't really talk to people.
Yeah.
He's not that main character that interacts with people. He says a couple voice lines to people, and that's about it.
Yep.
Like he is literally just that unstoppable force that his actions reflect what happens in the story.
Yeah. I think the main thing that makes that character type so likable is that in the best character moments are always actions that they do, not just
Yeah.
things that they say or like philosophies that they have. So having a character that completely relies on the actions instead of something they could say or a philosophy or
Yeah.
idea they could have about something is what makes them so likable. Because there's a lot of main characters, especially in anime, that are just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna accomplish my dreams, and it's fine, but it's like that's not it's not that interesting or whatever.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
them like saying what they want to do, but like watching someone do it is way more interesting of like showing it instead of just telling it to
Well,
the
it's kind of
audience.
like Link from
Yeah.
Legends of Zelda.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, has he ever? I think in comics he said stuff.
Yeah, in comics and stuff,
Video games,
manga.
as far as I know, he's never talked.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think he
but like
ever
the only thing
talks.
that ever changes the story is his actions or the player's
Yeah.
actions. In a way, he is the true form of the player surrogate.
No,
But
yeah,
at the same-
that's what he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as like the Lone Wanderer or the Courier from Fallout. Like
Mhm.
they say stuff like you have dialogue choices and stuff like that. But like
when they did with Fallout 4, they took away with that one thing that made you that character.
yes,
Voice.
yes, that was probably the worst decision they've made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The voice, and then probably the dialogue wheel was the worst thing.
The
about it.
voice, the dialogue wheel, and honestly giving your character a family and knowing exactly where they came from. Like, I would have been fine with it. Just, you're sitting in a diner and the bombs drop. Like, it kind of would leave it open for you to decide
Yeah,
who
it's-
you are. Not, yeah, I
family-
was married with a family. I served in the military. I'm getting
the
a
family thing
reward.
was
Yeah.
Interesting though. The way they did the story, I did like how they.
It was, and I understand for the overall, it drove the plot, but
Yeah.
it did get rid of the faceless figure.
It was a far cry away from my dad abandoned me in this vault, and now I
Yeah,
must go find
Because
him.
anyone could be that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anyone could be the, I was just delivering a letter and I got capped.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anyone can be from like number one of, oh, we picked you out of all of us to go
You
get.
are the chosen one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the chosen one, or whatever the second game was. I don't even remember.
That was actually.
Or you're
so-
following in the trail of your.
So here's the thing: the second one's actually the chosen one.
Yeah.
He goes through this trial to become the chosen one. To follow after the Lone Wanderer,
Who was the first?
which is the first one. The first one was literally,
Our pump's failing. Go get the part.
yeah, exactly. It was just like, oh, our vault's about to die. I guess Frank's grabbing it. Like, go out, Frank.
Yeah.
Hope you don't die.
Mhm.
And I guess in a way, in Fallout 4, I guess it could be anyone could be that person with a family, but it's like your kid was named, your wife was named.
They named them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Instead of just this is your kid, this is your wife.
yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, I guess they did do that in 3, didn't they, with the dad? Or do you never know his name?
I
I think you
know.
get his first
I
name.
think you get his first name, but like, you don't get a last name. You don't know who your mom is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. that
It
type of
leaves
stuff.
everything vague enough
Yeah.
that anyone could have been that
Yeah.
character.
I guess one remaining kind of change it a little bit. One remaining character type that I always find interesting is either well done or really badly done. And I'll use say Anakin Skywalker as like the chosen one
Yeah.
character type.
Yeah.
The character type that they always seem to be following the right path just because of these cosmic circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Anakin Skywalker is one of them, although they do flip it on its head like him.
Or
Yeah.
take any Elder Scrolls main character. Oh, you're supposed to save the world. Like, heck, I'm going to go steal your cheese.
Yeah.
Like, it opens for that. It's like you can follow the straight and narrow and be the good
Yeah.
guy, or suddenly it's like, you know, I feel like murdering today.
Yeah. Well, it's like even say Frodo from Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings.
Yeah.
He's the chosen one character,
But he's
has not
failing moments.
But he's not like the chosen one from prophecy.
Yeah,
He's the one that grabbed the ring.
It's the one that ended up with it.
Yes.
Kind of got screwed with it.
Like that type of character, and I'm trying to, for the life of me, I'm trying to pick an anime or think of an anime that's like that off the top of my head. I'm just failing miserably.
I don't know if that is a type that's in.
It's not
anime
really a type
lot.
in anime. Now
At least that I know.
Some of them, like there's got to be a chosen one type. Oh, let me see. I'm going through like my
One
file.
Punch Man.
Kind of.
Because it's like he's the most powerful. He doesn't want to do it, and he still gets stuck
the
doing
story
A
it.
lot of times
recycles
in
around it,
anime,
yeah.
they'll have like Hunter x Hunter has gone, whose father is like an extremely powerful, amazing person. Like,
Yeah.
they'll do stuff like that where, I mean, Eren in Attack on Titan was kind of like a chosen one.
Sure. Yeah. He is kind of like the way the history recycles. He
And
was the
most of it,
chosen
it's kind of
one.
like you get stuck with your role.
Yeah.
It's not like.
But that's always, to me, it's always been interesting because there's a myriad of different character attributes with the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either have like the Mary Sue that's not written very well and it's kind of a crappy character, or you can have somebody that's like reluctant, like Frodo.
Mhm.
It's reluctant, but he has this character that he's going to fulfill this task.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's his
As far-
struggle through it.
As far as like characters when they are the chosen ones, the ones that I like are not the Mary Sues, but the characters that eventually do become good at everything.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
like this is the chosen one, and we're all gonna die
Yeah.
if
It's
this
kinda
is
like
who we have to rely on.
living up to your potential kind
Yeah.
of thing. I guess it's mostly a superhero thing.
It
Like,
is a
you become
superhero thing.
the chosen one because you got bit by the spider
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So
But
you have to
every
live up to
challenge
it.
you meet is gonna knock you right back to the start, and then you
Yeah.
can try all over
Yeah.
again.
like Luke is a good chosen one character.
Yeah.
Like
Luke is a good one.
he's the chosen one, but then like his arc is interesting because it doesn't end with him defeating the Emperor. It ends with him giving up.
Then
which is like
you get characters that they're chosen one for because the story demands it, but outwardly in the story they are not. Take characters like the original like Conan the Barbarian movies. The reason I say that is because you have all these villains that are like, no one has ever been able to stop me. Blap.
Yeah.
It's like the second movie has to go save this girl, and it's like they inadvertently at the end there's like this demon god summon that can't be killed by anything, so he's the one person that killed the
Yeah,
thing.
right.
I like those two where it's like they're just kind of in the circumstance,
Yeah.
but they still are kind of a subvariant of a chosen one because they are the only ones that can get the job done.
Right.
yeah, a lot of anime have the like you get the power of the chosen one. Like I know My Hero Academia. He gets
Yep.
like
Yeah.
the best.
He is the
power or
chosen one.
whatever.
Like he is he is the successor to the number one hero.
Yeah.
So he has that weight on his shoulders.
Luffy has something like that later in the series that I don't totally know about, but his like devil fruit's like a special one.
Of course.
There's a lot of characters that they get like the special like thing.
Well, kind of like Tanjiro.
yeah.
Like Tanjiro,
And,
at
like-
first we think we're just following him to save his sister.
Did you watch the third season, all of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then Nezuko is also like a chosen.
Yo,
one.
Nezuko is a chosen one. Like she was turned into I guess spoilers for
I'm
Ramaka.
fine. I
Okay.
don't plan on ever.
You
finishing
dropped it season 2. So,
Yeah.
but like Nezuko was made into a demon because she was like the one that
He was
Let's-
he was basically making a ton of demons, hoping for one of them to be immune to sunlight. So then when that happened, he could like figure it out and inherit the gene or whatever
Yeah.
and become immune to sunlight because it's his only weakness.
Oh, okay.
So he did that to Nezuko, and then she got hit by sunlight and was fine. And so then he's like, "Oh, this is the
Yeah.
person I can."
and that's
finally
where season 3 ends.
my thing,
Like
yeah.
we're pretty sure we're going to the final arcs, probably season
Nezuko
4.
just be like, after all those years in the freaking box.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Muzan's backstory is kind of weird.
Wild.
He's
Yeah.
just like a dude that took medicine.
Or was
That'll do it to you.
Yeah.
They found the
Oh.
white powder and was never the same again.
Steins Gate.
Yeah.
That's Steins
Steins
Gate.
Gate, he's also kinda the chosen one.
Yeah, like
He's the one that's gonna mess up the time stream.
well, that's a time manipulation type thing, but like in a way, he was always meant to do what he does.
Yeah.
So cause Pyrolus to set up multiple monitors and watch the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Made Pyrolus go insane. That was his goal.
Oh, I didn't mean insane. Just have it like delved into that whole rabbit hole and realized that you can just set this whole thing up.
Yeah. But no, like his actions kind of made him the chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he became the center point.
He became
of-
the
Yes.
one that discovered time travel, which made him the
For the life of
Chosen
me,
one.
I can't remember his freaking name.
Okabe.
Okabe. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's basically
Kyoma.
Kyoma. Yes. Yes.
Anyways, I think we can move on. Speaking of characters that are chosen,
Pikachu,
Loki.
I choose you.
Oh, you want to do nerd dump now?
nerd dump time.
Nerd dump.
Loki is the ending of Loki, because I mentioned Loki earlier in this story, which is his like the thing where it blew up and all
Sure.
time.
Yeah. The
Anyways,
weave.
what happens is you find out major spoilers for Loki, but you find out that the loom thing
The loom. Yeah.
that has all the time like go through it, that when it gets overwhelmed, because the whole like part of the second season was that thing was overwhelming and it was going to blow up.
Sure.
After it blows up, it goes on a failsafe mode and it purges the extra timelines by itself. Like they don't have people to purge it. It unravels those timelines.
Oh, so it's
So that-
literally just gonna kill a bunch of people.
So it still does the same thing. So Loki ends up like he was time slipping through all kinds of places.
Okay.
He ends up learning he can control time through his time slipping thing. So he goes to like universes and it just starts, everything's fine, and then suddenly it all just unravels and it just dies. So he's like, I have to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains, who's the guy at the end, because it all just ends up bad anyways. Everything just unravels. So he goes through time and repeats things happening over and over
Sure.
again. And he can't get her to stop killing him. He's like trying all these different stuff, going through different periods of time to change things.
Yeah.
He tries to they were trying to expand the ring thing, the loom, so that more timelines could go through it.
Okay.
He does, but there's just infinite more timelines, so it just still overheats and blows up.
Okay.
So he goes through all this time. He learns like everything about science, like about this stuff from the different characters and things.
Okay.
And so he's going through it over and over and over again. In the end, he finds out that the loom is the one that's purging him. So he's like, I'll just blow up the loom. And then the guy's like, well, if you do that, then there's going to be infinite number of me that's going to cause more death than just purging the lines would. Because there's going to be millions of Kangs from all different versions, and they're all
and they all wanted to
yeah.
do the same thing. Yeah.
It ends up.
So is King just consistent in a goal no matter what timeline he's in?
Yeah, King is like he's like the most powerful person, I guess, in the timeline, in every timeline, and the most dangerous and the like whatever. So the idea is that this massive war is going to spawn out because every king, I guess, and discovers timelines and things. So anyways, Loki, it ends with him destroying the loom, and then the world lines are still like dying. So he just takes them and all their power and like puts life into them and just goes into the timeline. I don't know, sits on a throne and just has every like time spiral that he like powers or something.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
he literally just
So
becomes time.
He becomes like the master of time or whatever. He's making sure all of
that makes sense because I was
timelines are
yeah. I
alive.
kept on seeing clips of him like walking up to like a throne and like him getting like his Loki horns and stuff. And then every single like edit clip I would see is they just put the words "glorious purpose" up there. I'm just like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
because like
that's,
he's
like, his
always
thing.
searching for
So,
like a glorious purpose.
He does kind of become like the Lord of Time. He also can control it because he knows how to time
Yeah.
slip thing too. So he can just stop time. He can like go back in time. He can.
So
do
is he
all kinds
almost
of
like
stuff.
just become like omnipotent now?
Pretty much, I guess. It
Dang.
was kind of sudden. He was just finally like, I know what I have to do now. Just grabs all the things, powers him up. Sylvie is like, he's given us a chance. And then he just kind of like walks off. And then they're like, huh. So now the TVA is, I guess, taking, I don't know, they're purging the dude, what's his name, Kang. They're like going through time, making sure there's no Kangs that are like
So
gonna
couldn't you just
kill everybody.
Couldn't you literally just
Start
go
a
to a
war.
timeline, find the Infinity Stones, do the thing with them on a single target?
See, the problem with the time thing is that if you go to a timeline, it branches off on another timeline.
Right, because it's a string theory
Yeah.
idea, right?
So they literally just become the TKK to kill Kang.
So pretty much, yeah, they're just like keeping track of the Kangs, which is an interesting thing because I know that Jonathan Majors was arrested for domestic abuse or something. So they're not
Yeah.
sure if he's going to continue as the person. It sounds like they're moving away from the whole Kang storyline because of that.
It is so.
So if they do that, they kind of have it set up well where they don't have to because the TVA is like stopping the Kangs from
as far as I
taking
know,
over.
they pushed back the Avengers movie, which
Yeah.
was supposed to be
the Kang Dynasty.
The Kang
whatever.
Dynasty. They pushed it back to 2025,
Mhm.
and they're gonna like put what were they putting in there instead?
I
X-Men?
think they're I think
No, Deadpool 3. They put
Oh.
Deadpool 3
Ah.
in 2024, and I think that's like one of two shows that are only supposed to air in 2024,
Hmm.
which is like the least amount of
definitely need
Marvel
to do-
movies in like a single year.
Yeah, they definitely need to do less Marvel movies because the quality is just garbage right now.
But even Deadpool is supposed to like have like multiple timeline things
Yeah.
going on,
Too much timeline
like
crap.
Days of Future
Yeah.
Past type of thing. In a way, though, X-Men kind of have more to do with time than
Yeah, it would make sense now because
Yeah.
X-Men had time, it had reality stuff,
Yeah.
it had things like that. And I know it carried over in the other stuff, but it's just getting to be too much.
It is.
I mean, it is too much, and I feel like it's where Marvel has to go because it's like, where do you go
Yeah.
after you did all the big
I mean,
things? Like-
Standalone, high quality films.
see, the problem is you can't do
Nah.
that in the MCU. It will work outside.
No,
It
you
works-
can. You can have 30 Daredevil movies because they're all different Daredevils.
Well, here's the thing: the MCU movies, because they've been out for almost
20 years.
almost 20 years. We're about 5 years away from so 15 years. Say it. 15 years this year. They are hitting way faster than the comic books ever did. They're hitting that point where they're like, we have so many characters that there's no way that we can continue with one type of character and have them continue a story. That's why in the comics you got like in the DC comics you got Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, where the writers are like, oh, we got to mop up loose ends.
yeah, like that's why you have like Kang and stuff in like the Marvel universe. Like you kind of just have to do that type of stuff when you have that big of a cast,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
big of a story span. It's like they want to tell a story about Thanos destroying the world, like in the comic book. I'm just talking comics. They have to have a different timeline.
Yeah. Yep.
And I feel like this has always been a superhero thing of it just gets more and more absurd and it gets more and more complicated and timelines and all that stuff. So like I feel like
most stories end once you kill God.
yeah.
In Marvel and DC is always like, but what if?
What if more?
There's a
more.
bigger guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've seen that with like villains and stuff that they've had like lineups, and they have like a villain eventually. I think it's in like the Doom series, Doctor Doom series or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Where it's literally he just kills the void of nothingness.
Yes.
He's just like, well, crap, I'm the only one left.
Yeah, like there's literally a timeline where what's his name? Darkseid like rules the universe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like well, it's also like they defeat like in DC that they defeat Thanos or not Thanos.
Whoa. Those
Thanos
stones
rip
hit
off.
hard.
They defeated Darkseid
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they're still there. So it's like they need to make more money. They need to make more stories. So what are they going to do? Have Batman fight Joker again?
Yeah.
Or are they going to have Dr. Manhattan leak into the universe and also now they're fighting a little
Yeah.
god?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. There's been things that have proven it's like once you get to a certain point, it's okay to end it. Wait
Yeah.
that little gap and just restart. Like
I feel like what
play different on the story.
the MCU has to do is just get more and more absurd and just kind of let it go crazy.
Yeah.
Because the beginning thing of the MCU was like making superheroes not like super out of the realm of possibility. It kind of
Relatable.
like grounded it.
You could kind of believe
Yeah.
that Tony Stark would fly around in a metal suit.
Yeah, and that like Captain America was this weird, World War II experiment, and
Yeah.
he's just strong and stuff, and it kind of fits. And then Thor was an alien with advanced technology,
Exactly. Yeah.
stuff like that. So it kind of like it starts more base level, but then it gets to the point where it's like Thanos and space, and you have a whole Star Wars
I
thing
think
going on.
Yeah.
one of the
Like-
things that they did is they should have probably had more Avengers movies before Thanos to actually like hit
Yeah.
some of the story arcs that the Avengers had.
I feel
Yeah.
like too. They
Like,
could do more.
and that would have been interesting enough that people like Avengers always had characters coming and going and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like you could even have not mundane, but like toned down a little bit villains versus I'm going to purge the entire galaxy and still be interesting.
I think the biggest problem is like in real life, and this is like one bad thing. Like they have all live action shows. People get old.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is-
Robert Downey Jr. is old
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
That is a problem too.
A lot of the characters they're in like getting in their 50s. And obviously like actors are somehow just like superhumanly like never aged, but still like you don't want to be in a CGI suit
Yeah.
flipping around and like stuff like that when you're in your 50s.
conspiracy
60s, like-
theory. They're all already pugs in CGI suits.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like unfortunately in real life you can't
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
be Batman that stays
You
30
can't-
to 40
forever.
you
years
can't
old
have
forever.
unending line of Harry Potter movies
Exactly.
Yeah.
because the actor's getting old.
Getting old.
He goes from like a 14-year-old to a 20-something-year-old
Yeah.
near the end of the movie. He's like,
It goes from Harry, you're a wizard to holy crap, Harry, you're grown up, get out of school.
Harry, you hit puberty. What the
I'm
frick?
Harry Potter. This is
See, that
Dumbledore.
would
It's
be,
just
they're
bones.
missing an opportunity to start doing like a Young Avengers, like
That's
movie.
what
That's
I think
what they're
they
moving
screwed up
into
with.
now, I think.
I think what they needed to do is they needed to have character arcs that ended in like relationships that work out because it's always like the superhero thing.
Yeah.
And then they have kids, and then the kids become the heroes. Like,
then
then
the kids
weirdest part
destroy
is
the world.
even in the comics,
That-
they don't
yeah.
really do that.
yeah, it's like that seems like the most obvious progression of the story.
Like you do have like Damien and like the comic in some of the comics for Batman, like becoming Batman. Like
Yeah.
once he grows up.
But
and stuff.
normally he's just Robin.
Yeah, normally he's a Robin. Like unless there's certain comic book series where he does become Batman, it's very few as far as I know.
I think
Yeah.
what made the MCU work so well in the beginning too was that it kept telling a story and
Yeah.
it like kept progressing the plot. And it did go through fast all the Avengers stuff, but it was also like every movie felt like it mattered because the character was going to show up in the
Well,
Avengers.
and
It
as
was going to be
people-
a thing.
as people that like grew up watching it, it felt good.
Yeah.
Didn't it feel good to go to the first Avengers movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
it's like,
like-
cool, I've been watching all these movies.
Yeah,
They're all
exactly.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is like the first thing that ever really did this is like we're going to the movie to watch something that took us years to figure out the
Yeah.
story.
They turned it into a serialized
and it still
thing. And
kind
it's
of
cool.
felt that way with Endgame.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, I literally am an adult now going to watch a series that's about to end. air
Yeah.
quotes.
The first like 3 phases were all like good. Like it had things that tied together.
yeah.
There were some movies you could miss and it wasn't that big of a deal.
I think
But,
one
like-
of the things too, and I don't know, have they changed it? Do people still remember like Thanos wiping out like
Yes.
everything?
Yeah.
That's actually
Tim-
kind of a story point in a lot of it is the snap.
To me, it's like that kind of makes a really severe disconnect from like the world too. Like little things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. It's like you can have like, yeah, this incident, this monster happened here or whatever, this aliens attack, but it's like when it's like, okay, the whole galaxy knows this thing
Yeah.
happened and we're all gonna be scarred with that trauma forever.
that is a thing that's like built into the world now. But that sometimes they kind of forget about it. Sometimes they remember.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It's kind of like we just threw together some movies because we make money now.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's any plan. There's no purpose
There's
to any
no
of the movies.
giant goal. to
It's just,
reach.
oh, this movie did successful. Here's a sequel. And when you do it just for that reason, it just like falls flat. It
Yeah.
just dies. They also just keep pumping out cheap garbage. Like
Yeah.
they're obviously cheaper. The visual effects and stuff lately have been bad, or like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Or
It just
like the thing
shows it's
I've
rushed.
been seeing that people complain about is like in the older movies, you know, you've seen Iron Man put on the suit, you've seen everyone put like the costumes on and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're just click.
Yeah.
I
Just
know
nanite.
everything's nanite, and
Yeah.
it's so annoying.
It was
That's lame,
cool with
too.
Black Panther because that's like his thing.
Yeah.
Thing, yeah.
But not every character needs it. That needs to be that character's thing.
Well, it was cool with Black
It also
Panther.
feels just cheap.
Yeah, because
Like,
well,
this
he's
is
like
easier
super
to do.
tech.
right, but then it was also cool that Iron Man like copied it, because obviously Iron Man would do that. He sees nanite technology, is like,
Well,
I need that.
I would
Yeah.
feel like that would be like it's like his I can't get to my suit backup suit type
Yeah.
thing.
Well, and as far as I know, that's kind of how it was with
Yeah.
the first Endgame movie.
Yeah.
One
He's
thing
just,
that I
like,
like the
down.
most about the most recent Spider-Man movie was that it reverted the character back to he doesn't have all these fancy gadgets
Yeah.
and stuff. He's just stuck
He
being
doesn't have the
a
nanite
nobody.
suit.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Deadpool 3.
Mhm.
It's probably going to be the last Marvel movie I watch,
Yeah.
unless they pull something out of their hat
Yeah.
and it sucks me back.
Like
in.
Loki was the only thing I've watched recently from Marvel that was actually like, this feels like it's going somewhere,
Yeah.
and it's going to be like, it's going to lead up to something interesting later.
I am technically, because I don't know why I guess I just did it out of the habit. I am still technically caught up with the MCU, besides for Loki and Marvels.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know why, but I am. So
I would watch Loki. That's like the only one worth
I
watching,
plan on watching
right
Loki. Mainly because I do like the Loki character.
now. Yeah.
Even if it is a little bit different.
And
than
the whole
comic.
plot and everything of the show is like interesting. It's got a good vibe. So much of this stuff just seems, I don't know. Loki's kind of like the Andor. It feels like they put
Yeah.
time and effort into it.
The only time I'd ever watch Marvels is if I'm really bored on a weekend
man.
and I just want to watch it just for content
Marvel's
for the
looks
podcast or
rough,
something.
yeah.
But that's about it.
There is a planet in the Marvels where everyone sings,
Oh,
and they can only communicate through singing.
no. Why?
Yeah.
So just remember, it was probably in the comic book somewhere.
It was.
Yes, but that's different.
It's like, yeah.
Like it translates in a comic.
I don't know. Every time I see singing in a comic, I cringe.
It feels like they stopped.
That's kind of the cringy
taking
part.
it.
Yeah.
It feels like they stopped taking it seriously.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, do something funny and have the characters say stuff.
yeah, every other word has to be a one-liner.
Yeah.
I don't really have much for Nerd Dump. We're kind of running late on time, but I do want to say I got the cardboard crack high the other day, which was amazing. So
Nice.
I guess I'll talk about that real quick. Like I started getting into Flesh of Blood, as you guys know,
Yeah.
which is a card game like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Opened up an old booster box that was sitting at my local game store for like 4 years. And cracked a $500 card.
It's pretty
So,
epic.
Yeah, the cardboard crack was nice. It was actually strong enough that up until today, when I broke out of it, I was gonna buy another booster box. Thankfully, I rethought that process and
Nice.
realized that doesn't happen every single time you crack a booster box.
Yeah.
You talk about Weez is worth like $2 million.
Yeah, you just keep
He
buying
has
boxes.
some of the most expensive cards in the game. Not
few.
not the really
Okay.
expensive ones
Yeah.
for Magic, but
I
like
don't have.
recent
Black
times
Magic.
expensive cards in the game, just because he
Like-
was at the
like
right time at the right
Great
place.
Yeah.
Hinge. I think you have
Great
two
Henge.
or
I have
three of those.
two
Don't you?
great.
Don't you have a
Henges.
foil one?
No, I don't have a foil.
You don't have a foil
No.
Great Henge?
I don't know
I
anymore,
had-
but that used to be really expensive, didn't it?
I feel like I had a foil something and I sold it. It was expensive. I don't
I
remember.
could have swore it's a Great Henge.
I don't think I had a foil great.
You never.
I had a
He's
regular
just
Great
pulling
Henge.
Black Lotus. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
not another one.
No, I did the
Yeah.
Black Lotus. Trash. I saw a Pawn Stars like video of
Magic cards.
Magic cards,
Yeah.
and the guy was like, he had this original like, it was a little sealed like deck. It was like,
Oh, the
somewhat-
championship decks.
somewhat random
Yeah.
though, and so he was like, we don't know if this is like a Black Lotus, it's going to be worth a ton, but otherwise it could be, you know, kinda
Nothing. It could
worthless.
literally just be alpha.
He sold it for like
basics.
22,000 or something. The guy opens it and gets an ancestral recall, which is worth a lot of money, like $100,000, something crazy.
What?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah,
Ancestral Recall is not $100,000 now, is it?
yeah. The Power 9 is like all in like the the high like
The Power 9
$50
is
to
not.
$100,000.
Nah, they're not
Yeah.
that high now, are
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Well, there goes my dreams.
The Power 9 is ridiculous.
I better hurry up on those Alpha Dual lands before those go up too
There's
much more.
like, yeah, if you look up,
The Alpha Dual lands, and for most of our anime community that probably is thinking we're speaking Spanish, those are like high-end original resources in the game. They basically, you could use them right away, and they tap for multiple colors and magic, which is a really good thing. As far as I know, the dual lands are in the hundreds. Apparently, the Moxes are now in the tens of hundreds.
yeah, there's most places don't even have them in stock, so you can't buy them. But yeah, there's a lot of very
The Power
expensive
9
cards.
in the Black Lotuses and stuff like that, unless they're damaged, those are private trades. You can't go to like Card Kingdom or TCG Player and buy a Power 9 or a Black Lotus, I don't think.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah.
can get a Ancestral Recall for 20,000, I guess.
Okay, that's what I thought. That seemed a little bit more reasonable than
This is
100,000.
Use
I'm saying
that.
reasonable to
But like, if you
$20,000.
get a like pristine one, then the prices get crazy.
Yes. Well, it's like nowadays, like all they have to do is the serialization.
Yeah.
Like, okay, not to talk too much longer, but when did they start adding the serialized cards?
I don't
in
know. They
Magic?
just did that
Because all of a
randomly.
sudden, it's just in March of the Machines, and I'm like, wait a second, when did they start doing this? They didn't announce it. It's just like, oh, here's serialized cards.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
It's kind of lame.
Like, there's a Ragavan that's $5,000. Ragavan's a $80 red 1-drop monkey.
Yeah.
I'm just more wondering why they just don't put the money in there.
I know, right? Oh, no, it's crazy. Like,
You've won $1 million.
like I'm looking at buying some staples, which are like just must-have cards for like some of my commander decks.
He
But
just staples his cards.
no, but like even the cards I'm looking at, I think the most expensive one is I'm looking at a $40 card that's like part of an infinite combo that just wins me the game.
Isn't this sanguineous, whatever it is, mixed with whatever damages you enough of an infinite thing?
No, I'm turning the deck into a combo deck.
But isn't the 2-card win bam enough?
No, it's not. Now I need more 2-card win bam. So, okay, so the cards I'm getting is I'm getting Ad Nauseam.
Isn't the machete enough?
No, I'm getting Ad Nauseam, which Weez knows what Ad Nauseam is.
Yeah.
You basically pay a life, draw a card, and you can do that as many times as you want. Or you lose life equal
To its
to
mana value.
its mana value for each card you
Big in
reveal.
Commander.
And I'm putting it in my Rowan Scion of War deck, which means when I tap my Rowan, I can negate the cost of things by how much life I've lost.
Hmm.
And then I'm also putting in Necropotence,
Nice.
which means both those cards are basically 2-card combos with any of my X spells in there.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm powering up the deck so I can make it more CEDH.
Ah.
So I can actually win some of my games at my local game store. Because some of my local players, the people that are in my play group, they're pulling out decks with like original dual lands now. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Oh, goodness.
Time to pull out some of the nukes. We're having
Yeah.
a small arms race. Let's put it
I'm
that
just
way.
sitting over here like, I want to be able to make a house payment.
Yeah, the way I see it is once I get bored, I can just sell the deck and make a house payment.
Arena did historic no ban list.
Oh, I remember
Again,
that.
And they banned Channel and like Demonic Tutor because those cards.
Channel? Why do they ban Demonic Tutor?
I don't know. I feel like it's probably just too good with turn combos.
I feel like
and
it's
stuff.
redundant to have a no ban list and then add bans
They
to it.
they
I
ha-
get Channel.
At first they did no ban list and everyone just played Channel or you played Counter Channel because that's the only way. to win.
The counter channel.
Like
fun.
Counterspell is probably the best card in the whole format. 'cause
Yeah.
just, oh, you'll have your thing that wins you the game, Counterspell. So they just banned like 2 cards that were
That kind of
super busted. So there's still some crazy powerful things. There's still like playing Ragavan, just counter spells, and
Yeah.
Ragavan is fun.
I watched
But-
Pleasant Kenobi play.
Oh,
Nice. Yeah, it was fun.
I made a deck with, I was like, oh yeah, all these cards that were banned. Oh, Oko, Omnath, like 4 mana Omnath.
Did you just make 2019 Simic Ramp?
Pretty much, except I took all the cards and put them together because they were never all together because
No,
they
they
got
weren't.
banned too fast.
At least in
but
Standard,
if
yeah.
they were, in Standard, if they were like together, that part of Standard would have been so absurd.
It was so bad.
You would have had Omnath, you would have had Oko, and seeing it in that, like, it would have been so wild to see it there because they would have tweaked it to perfection and
Yeah.
it would have just been the most absurd deck ever. That would have been. Oh, and Field of the Dead.
Yeah.
So you can have like Scape Shift, Field of the Dead, plus Oko, plus Omnath, and then I had just some extra turn spells and just kind of demolish. Oh, and Uro. That
Jeez,
like
okay. That sounds nasty, but nowadays, like in Modern, we have Scam, which is just disgusting. Like, I used to think the end of the world was Simic, like Oko and like
now it's
Omnath.
Rakdos.
It's just Rakdos, like turn 1 4/4 with double strike, and it just wiped whatever you played. Like
for free for 1 mana.
For 1 mana.
It does it twice because it comes back. It's so stupid. I hate that they printed. Like, I feel like Modern Horizons is a stupid set because
it is.
Like, the idea of an old set that's like, you can play with all your old cards is cool. And then when they're like, we're specifically printing cards for this specific thing, is just kind of lame to me because it doesn't feel like it's interesting. It just feels like they're purposefully making the game act a certain way.
They never should have made it just for Modern.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Commander Masters sets.
Yeah, Commander, I feel like isn't as egregious because it's casual.
Yeah.
Like not
I don't mind that. Some of them complain because you get things
Commander.
like Hull Breacher and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like Modern Horizons was just horrible.
I think
they should just stuck with the reprint sets.
Commander cards are fine if they're not super strong. Like if they're kind of janky, if they're like all your opponents do, or like the land that enters untapped if you have more than so many opponents, like that's more reasonable. Some cards
honestly,
though, it's just like, this is so good in Commander, you have to play it, and that's kind of
it's like talking about those lands. Those are just giving an alternative to original duels.
Yeah, and that's like a good thing.
Yeah, which is really good.
When it's super specifically, the game feels cool because it's so broad and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So when it tells you like this is what you have to do, it kind of sucks.
It does. Like it is always kind of sucky. Like especially in Commander nowadays when you do build a deck and you're like, oh, I need Soul Ring, I need Arcane Signet, I need this. You need like 10 cards just to like say it's good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you only have like, well, with lands, you only have like 40 cards you can actually put in the deck that you want to play. Like, it is kind of getting ridiculous sometimes.
It's cool when they print a card and then someone figures out, if you combo this with this, it does something really powerful, instead of them being like, if you combine this and this, it does something really powerful.
Yeah.
And then it's like, collect them both. And then that's just lame.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, I think that's about it for this podcast today. It's a really long podcast. Hopefully they like 2-hour episodes. We'll see how that goes. Ron the cat just freaked out.
We can just cut it in half and just have 2 whole episodes.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I already accidentally cut it in half. Like,
yeah, it's perfect.
Splitting.
We'll just do 2 endings. Just be like, that's all for us. Bye. That's all for us. Bye.
Well, speaking of that's all for us, bye. Thank you all for listening. Hope you liked the podcast. If you did, please share it with a friend, your loved ones, your family. Well, not your loved ones. They might be in mental danger if you do.
Yeah.
But maybe your worst enemies. That's a good one. Yeah, worst enemies. Share us with your worst enemies. They deserve that fate.
Tie them up in your basement and force them to listen to this.
Yep.
Be great.
Give them a pet a room at least.
Yeah.
Besides for that, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.